After 12 years of marriage, I found my wife's old diary filled with pages about her ex. One entry said, "He'll never know I named our son after you." When I confronted her, she smirked and said, "It's just a name. Don't be so dramatic." So I ordered a paternity test. 3 days later, I left the results and her diary on her parents' porch. She's been calling me every night since. I never thought I'd post about my failed marriage, but when it turns out your whole life is built on lies, you need a place to vent. All names used are provisional for obvious reasons. A month ago, I discovered my 12-year marriage was a complete sham, all thanks to a leather-bound diary hidden in our attic. I'm 43 and run my own architecture studio. My soon-to-be ex-wife, Lisa, is 41 and teaches high school English. I also have an 11-year-old, Yen, whom I was tricked into believing was my son, but more on that later. Last month, while Lisa was at a teacher's conference and Yen was at baseball, I was cleaning the attic of my house, a property I bought and paid for before we married, with clear documentation proving sole ownership. I found a box labeled "Personal, Do Not Open," tucked away behind some Christmas decorations. In my house, a box I'm not supposed to open? That immediately set off alarm bells. Inside was a diary. As I opened it, a photo fell out, Lisa hugging a guy I'd never seen, looking very cozy on a beach. On the back, "Forever yours." The diary was filled with entries about this guy, Michael, mostly from before we met. Then I found an entry dated just after Yen's birth. "He's perfect. Seeing him reminds me so much of you. That's why I named him after you, Michael." Yen Robert, he thinks we just used your middle name because I liked how it sounded. "He'll never know I named our son after you. A little piece of you I'll keep forever." I read it several times to make sure I wasn't misinterpreting it, but it was crystal clear. The child I'd raised for 11 years was named after an ex-boyfriend I'd never even heard of, and the entries strongly suggested Yen wasn't even mine. When Lisa got home Sunday night, I waited until Yen was asleep before confronting her. I left the diary on the kitchen table. "What's this doing out?" she asked, paling. "Who's Michael?" I asked flatly. She hesitated, then shrugged. "An ex from college. Ancient history. And Yen is named after him?" Instead of looking guilty or remorseful, she smirked. "It's just a name, Robert. Don't be so dramatic." That smirk told me everything I needed to know about our marriage. "Is he Yen's biological father?" "What?" "No. How can you even ask that?" "Because of what you wrote about Michael. About Yen. About keeping a part of him forever. You're taking it completely out of context. I dated a guy named Michael whose middle name was Yen. I liked the name. It doesn't mean anything. You slept with him around the time Yen was conceived." She stood up, knocking over her chair. "I'm not having this conversation. You're being ridiculous. Answer the question, Lisa." "No. I haven't even seen Michael since before I met you." The vehement denial might have convinced me once. "Not anymore. I want a paternity test." "Absolutely not. I'm not putting our son through that just because you're obsessed with an old diary." I didn't argue further. I left and slept in the guest room. The next morning, I called my lawyer and ordered a home paternity test online. Getting Yen's DNA was simple. I told him I needed a cheek swab for a school science project. 3 days later, I received the results. Yen is not my biological son. At that point, I wasn't even surprised. I just felt cold and resolute. I made copies of the key diary pages and the test results. I put the originals in a large envelope and drove to Lisa's parents' house. I left it on their porch with a note. "Your daughter has been lying to me for 12 years. Yen is not my biological son. Ask her about Michael." Then I checked into a hotel, turned off my phone, and met with my lawyer to discuss how to utterly destroy Lisa in the divorce. When I turned my phone back on 2 days later, I had 47 missed calls, mostly from Lisa, but also from her parents and even mine, whom she'd tried to involve in her drama. I only returned my parents' calls, telling them I was handling the situation my way. I listened to one voicemail from Lisa, Robert, please, I can explain everything. It's not what you think. Come home so we can talk. Yen's asking for you. I texted back, from now on, all communication will be through my lawyer. This is my house, which I owned prior to our marriage with documented proof. You have 30 days to vacate the premises, per state law. The truth unraveled quickly after that. Michael contacted Lisa apparently. They'd met up right before our wedding during her bachelorette party in Vegas and slept together. When she discovered she was pregnant 6 months after we married, she knew it could be his, but chose to bury her head in the sand. She never told Michael about the pregnancy or me. Her parents were shocked. Her father called me. I don't know what to say, Robert. I had no idea she was capable of something like this. I filed for divorce immediately. I also filed a petition to disestablish paternity, providing the DNA evidence and proof of fraud to have my name removed from Yen's birth certificate. My lawyer assured me it was legally sound given the evidence of deliberate deception. It wasn't a difficult decision, actually, it wasn't. For 11 years, I was manipulated into raising another man's child. That's not noble. That's being played for a fool. Lisa decided to vacate the house before the 30-day deadline, realizing she had no legal right to stay. I returned to my home after confirming she was gone. I changed all the locks, security codes, everything. Walking through those rooms alone, I felt a cold satisfaction. She thought she'd fooled me for over a decade, but in the end, she was the one left with nothing. It's been 3 months. The divorce is nearly finalized. Lisa had the gall to demand half of my assets as alimony. My lawyer quickly dismantled that with the evidence of her infidelity and fraud. In our state, adultery resulting in a child conceived during the marriage is considered egregious marital misconduct. The court ruled that my premarital assets, including the house, remained separate property, and the division of marital assets was adjusted in my favor due to her misconduct. My petition to disestablish paternity was approved. With DNA evidence demonstrating non-paternity and clear documentation of Lisa's fraud, the court removed me from Yen's birth certificate. The judge explicitly ruled that I have no legal or financial obligation to a child who is not biologically mine and whom I was deceived into raising. Lisa still calls from new numbers every night, alternating between sobbing apologies and threats. I've documented every call as evidence of harassment. Her mother told me last week they found Michael through social media. Upon being confronted, he confirmed he's Yen's biological father. He immediately signed documents acknowledging paternity, but relinquishing custody. He didn't even want to meet the child. The court ordered him to pay child support regardless of his interest in parenting, another legal blow to Lisa's financial situation. Lisa and Yen are now living in a small apartment paid for by her parents. Her teacher's salary barely covers the basics due to her extravagant spending habits. Meanwhile, I'm enjoying the peace and quiet of my home, focusing on my business, which has landed 2 major contracts since all this went down. Funny how much more productive you can be when you're not wasting energy on people who don't deserve it. Some may wonder why I cut off contact with Yen completely. It's simple. I refuse to be manipulated any further. Remaining in his life would mean regular contact with Lisa, continued financing of her lies, and a lifetime reminder of how thoroughly I was duped. That's not happening. He has a mother and a biological father, even if that father wants nothing to do with him. He's not my problem anymore. Some might question why I sent the evidence to her parents. Simple. I needed witnesses to the truth. I needed the people who mattered to Lisa to know exactly what kind of person she is. I make no apologies for that decision. Actions have consequences, and Lisa's actions destroyed our marriage and any responsibility I had towards her or Yen. The divorce will be finalized next month. I'm rebuilding my life on my terms. I've started dating again, nothing serious, just enjoying the company of honest women who actually respect men. I'm traveling more, investing in my business, and planning a future entirely free of Lisa's manipulation. When people ask if I miss being a father, I tell them the truth. I was never a father. I was a walking ATM and babysitter for another man's child. The sickening thing is, Lisa knew it all along. She smirked when confronted and expected me to just roll over and take it. Update 1 month later. This post got more popular than expected. Thanks for the support. The divorce is final. I got everything I wanted and more. Lisa tried to go hard on alimony, thinking she could manipulate the court with stories about Yen losing his father figure. Big mistake. The judge, after reviewing the evidence of her deception, granted me a complete separation. I have zero obligation to Lisa or Yen. For those asking about child support, I don't pay it. I legally can't be forced to. The court officially disestablished my paternity based on the DNA evidence and proof of fraud. The judge ruled it would be fundamentally unjust to require support under these circumstances. Lisa's lawyer had the nerve to initially request it, but it went nowhere fast when my lawyer laid out the full extent of her fraud. To answer the most frequent questions: 1. No, I haven't seen or spoken to Yen since I left. Some call it cold. I call it self-preservation. I wish the kid well, but he's not my responsibility, nor my problem. 2. Many asked why I went to her parents first. Because I wanted the truth to come from an unimpeachable source before Lisa could spin her lies. It worked perfectly. Her parents were so disgusted they didn't even try to defend her. 3. To those suggesting I maintain a relationship with Yen, would you offer to support another man's child for the next 7 years after being lied to for 11? Would you commit to regular interaction with a woman who lied to your face for over a decade? I didn't think so. 4. Per the messages from guys in similar situations, stay strong. Document everything. Don't let emotions cloud your judgment, and never be manipulated by pleas to do what's best for the child. What's best is for kids to be raised by their actual parents, not by duped men. 5. No, I don't feel guilty. Not one bit. I gave 11 years of my life to a lie. That's more than enough. Lisa tried contacting me through mutual friends last week, claiming Yen is traumatized by my absence and acting out at school. Not my circus, not my monkeys. She created this situation with her lies, and now she can deal with the fallout. Her parents have apologized to me multiple times, even offered financial help to make things right. I declined. I don't need or want their money. Her father told me, "You've handled this with more dignity than most men would." Lisa has to live with what she's done. I've started seeing someone new, a businesswoman I met at a conference. She's intelligent, honest, and most importantly, respects men and understands boundaries. We're taking it slow, but it's refreshing to be with someone who doesn't see me as a resource to exploit. My house is completely remodeled, erasing every trace of Lisa and the life I thought I had. I sold all the furniture we bought together, repainted every room, and even renovated the master bath she'd been nagging me about for years. Update 3. Some have called me heartless for my clean break, but the thing is, staying would have been the real weakness. Continuing to raise another man's child out of some misplaced sense of duty is being a doormat, not a man of principle. I chose self-respect over self-sacrifice. I chose truth over comfortable lies. And I've never been more at peace with a decision in my life. Eat it, to whoever messaged me saying I'm punishing an innocent child. I refuse to be further manipulated. There's a difference. Lisa punished that child by lying about his parentage for 11 years. The principal ripped into her.